Thank you for joining us on Business Now. And here's some of the report we're filing now. I am Frank Komalape. Well, we'll begin the Business Now from Abuja, where the House of Representatives ad hoc committee to investigate the petroleum product subsidy regime from 2013 to 2021 says the profile of 23 oil and gas companies trading in Nigeria are unknown. The panel is investigating payments made by the federal government through the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, now Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, for the subsidy on premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, within 8 years. The chairman of the committee, Ibrahim Aliyu, at the resumption of the investigative hearing on subsidy payment on Wednesday, stated that the firms had major serious questions to answer. Aliyu read part of a communication from the Corporate Affairs Commission in response to the committee's request for the profile of the company. Said there were no details on the firms. The lawmakers said that the committee will be forced to write to the embassies of the countries where the companies are based for information on them. And in the meantime, the House of Representatives has also raised the alarm over the looming food shortage in Nigeria, calling on the federal government to reinitiate emergency preventive measures at the plenary on Wednesday. The House particularly urged the Presidency, the Minister of Agriculture, and the National Emergency Management Agency to begin to make arrangements to mitigate the emerging food challenge. The House also mandated its relevant committees to interface with the appropriate ministry and agencies, as well as the international development partners, to begin the process of establishing and implementing protocols to manage food resources and mitigate the food crisis. These resolutions were a sequel to the unanimous adoption of a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Mrs. Rimande Shawulu and Solomon Bob. Moving the motion, Shawulu noted that the world is apprehensive of an impending massive shortage of food and possible famine. The lawmaker also noted that while the current impending food shortage is directly related to the Ukraine-Russia war, which is said had impacted negatively on supply of grains and fertilizers, some areas have remained under armed conflict. And now, the Senate has resolved to summon the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to explain the reasons for the rapid depreciation of the value of the naira. It has also mandated its Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions to assess the impact of CBN intervention funds meant to support critical sectors of the economy. The upper chamber is taking these resolutions after federal legislators considered a motion on the state of CBN intervention funds and the free fall of the naira. The sponsor of the motion, Senator Olubomi Adetumbi, bemoaned Nigeria's economic challenges and called for extraordinary measures to address them. As of Thursday, the naira was exchanging for more than 700 naira to a dollar in the parallel market. And away from there now, the Central Bank of Nigeria's Treasury bill sanctioned for a 364-day tenure, which sought to raise about 258.5 billion naira from investors, recorded an oversubscription of 22.7%, as interest rate rose to 7% compared to 6.07% recorded in the previous month. This is according to the summary of the Nigerian Treasury bills auction conducted on Wednesday, 27th July 2022. Specifically, the 364-day tenure TB Treasury bill recorded a total subscription of 317.2 billion naira as against the 258.5 billion naira offer by the CBN, which gave the room for a final allotment of 261.3 billion naira at a stop rate of 7%. It is worth noting that despite the rise in the interest rate, increased inflation and pressure to 18.64% in June 2022, still means that the Treasury bills printed a negative real yield of 11.6%. And while the uptrend in the NTB's interest rate is following the hawkish move by the CBN raising the benchmark interest rate to 14%, the second hike in the year. In the meantime, the federal government has responded to report that the excess crude account has dropped from $35.7 million to $376,655. The government disclosed that the $35 million disbursement from the excess crude account in June 2022 was an advance payment for the purchase of brand new offshore patrol vessel for the Nigerian Navy. The excess crude account is a savings account retained by the federal government and is funded by the difference between the market price of crude oil and the budgeted price of crude oil as contained in the appropriation bill. However, despite higher oil revenues, Nigeria has not addressed to the ECA this year. Reacting to a report that revealed that Nigeria's excess crude account shrank from $35.7 billion or million dollars to $376,000, the federal government said the $35 million disbursement from the excess crude account is from June this year and is an advance payment for the purchase of brand new offshore patrol vessel for the Nigerian Navy. It added that the move was part of efforts to consolidate on the gains of maritime security recorded in the Gulf of Guinea. And now the Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administrative and Safety Agency, Bashir Jamal, has inaugurated the expert-level planning team of the agency to draft the national maritime security strategy to sustain the agency's successes in the fight against piracy. It was led. The NEMASA chief also gave kudos to the International Maritime Organization for its technical support to Nigeria by assigning facilitators to assist the country. He said maritime security will be of priority concern to the agency, noting that it is the bedrock and guarantee of every shipping business. The new maritime strategy to be adopted by the agency, he said, will become the culmination of the various efforts, initiatives, and partnerships the agency started out under its maritime security, safety, and shipping development upon his assumption of office in March 2020. The Federal Executive Council says it has approved the leasing of 3 aircraft by the country's national carrier, Nigeria Air, to enable it to commence operations soon. Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika announced this while briefing journalists at the end of Wednesday's Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja. Sirika said Nigeria Air will start with domestic flight before expanding to international routes. He noted that the national carrier will start with domestic flight and then grow to become international and later move to become regional and intercontinental. On Wednesday, the FEC also approved 707.9 million naira for the procurement of investigation tools for Nigeria's Accident Investigation Bureau. Sirika said the tool, when procured, will aid investigations whenever an aircraft is involved in an accident in any part of Nigeria. The founder and chief executive officer of Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf, says that Nigerian ports are still grappling with high operational cost, extortion, and weak application of technology. In a document titled CPP, a half-year economic review, Yusuf said that scanners were yet to be fully operational at the port, adding that the single window was yet to take off while weigh bridges were not in existence at the port. He said that these issues had become intractable, appealing to the authorities to look urgently into the plight of port users. He noted scanners are yet to be fully operational at the port and the single window is yet to take off, which is not a good commentary for the port in the largest economy on the African continent. He, however, appealed to the authorities to look urgently into the plight of port users. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, says the government came up with an internet code of practice to prevent big tech companies from becoming dictators and bigger than the government. The minister added that a democratic republic is not just a form of government, but a government that needs vigilance and at times actions to protect and maintain it. He stressed that in a democratic setting, citizens should have representatives elected by people to write rules rather than a few.